Okay, you ready? Let's get started. Hello, my lovelies. So today I wanted to talk about something a little more serious on my channel, and that is mental health, because I have anxiety and I use bullet journaling a lot to help with managing my anxiety. So I thought that I could make a video talking about mental health and how I use my bullet journal to help with that. That way I could give you guys some ideas and tips in case you also struggle with mental health like I do. A couple disclaimers before we get into it. This video is all about my personal experience and how I use bullet journaling to help me. I'm not a professional, I'm not a doctor, so I can't give you like professional advice, clearly. So I'm not intending to do that, but I am intending to give just some ideas and tips that I personally use that could maybe help you as well. It is not going to be a very long video, but hopefully it is a meaningful one. And also hopefully my AC that is blaring and has been all weekend. I've been trying to film so much content, but because of the temperature changes outside, it's always super loud as it's trying to switch between like the right temperature for the room. I can't control it, and I wish I could turn it off, but I cannot. So we will just have to bear with the AC as we always do on this channel. Okay, number one thing you should know about me is I am a control freak, and my anxiety a lot of the time pops up when I don't have control over a situation. And that is honestly one of the big reasons why I bullet journal in the first place, because bullet journaling is a way for me to plan out my life and just have a lot of control over what's going on, how I manage my life, and work through all the challenges that life brings. So the first tip I always want to talk about is just that I reduce stress a lot by planning things out. If my life is becoming super overwhelming and I have a lot of things coming up, it is such a relief to sit down at my desk, pull out my bullet journal, and just plan everything. School, work, personal things, just bring up everything, maybe put it in a calendar and get everything organized. This makes the thoughts that are swirling around my head so much easier when you can see them on paper and just like plan it out and be logical about what's going to happen, because it makes it so much more digestible to go through each task individually rather than stress and have a panic attack because there's just so much going on you don't know what to do. So this could come in the form of, like I said, calendars or just simple to-do lists. That is a huge part of bullet journaling. I obviously have calendars every single month, and I do to-do lists almost every day in my weekly spreads. Another thing you could use this for is habit trackers. Habit trackers for me are a great way to introduce rhythm and routine into my life, because I am tracking that I do a certain habit or a couple habits every single day. And so it's making sure that I'm in a steady routine and I'm not overwhelmed by all the crazy things happening in my life, and I'm just keeping to a steady rhythm. Another thing is goal setting. So as you guys know, I make a lot of goal setting videos on this channel. I'm a big goals person. Once again, when things are getting crazy and hectic, it's always good to remind myself, hey, you have these goals that you're setting to, you're working towards them. It's gonna be okay, because you have a plan and you are ready for it. Now, obviously, not everything always goes to plan, and that is something to talk about in a later date. But for the time being, whenever I am on the verge of like having like intense anxiety about something coming up, it is so much easier to just put everything down on paper, use my bullet journal to help plan. Oh my God. It's so annoying. Anyway, use my bullet journal to just help plan my life. It just really takes the stress off my shoulders, at least for the time being, until I actually get to the point where I start tackling those tasks and obstacles throughout the rest of the month, year, whatever it is. So like I was saying, I do set a lot of goals every single year, and one goal that I like to set is working on managing my stress and anxiety. So along with using a bullet journal to manage every day-to-day stressors, I believe speaking with therapists can be super beneficial in managing your mental health. Which is why I would love to thank BetterHelp for sponsoring this video, and you can use the link in my description below to get 10% off your first month with BetterHelp. BetterHelp makes starting therapy easier and less intimidating for so many people around the world. I know personally starting therapy can be super stressful, but BetterHelp makes the process very simple and easy. Personally, I love the flexibility that BetterHelp offers because they allow you to have therapy sessions through phone call, video chat, or even messaging. BetterHelp can match you with one of over 30,000 therapists based on your needs, preferences, or location, which gives you access to a wider range of opportunities than may be available in your city. To get started, you fill out a questionnaire that asks you what challenges you're working through and what you would like in a therapist, and then BetterHelp will match you with the perfect therapist therapists to help you. In most cases, you're matched with a therapist in 48 hours. You can schedule therapy at any time that's convenient for you, which I mean is great for me because I'm in college and so my hours are always varying. And if you feel like your therapist just isn't working for you, you can quickly switch therapists with a click of a button, no extra cost, no extra communication. It's very simple. I'm a big supporter of therapy because I think it's really important to speak to a professional about the challenges you're having in your life and to help deal with your mental health. And so if you're like me and have set a goal to work on your anxiety or mental health this year, I think BetterHelp will be a fantastic fit for you. Join over 4 million people who have used BetterHelp to live a healthier and happier life by clicking the link in my description below or going to betterhelp.com/mingostudio. Clicking that link helps you support this channel, and it also gives you 10% off your first month of BetterHelp, so you can connect with a therapist and see if it helps you. Thank you again so much to BetterHelp for sponsoring this video, and let's get back to ways that I manage my anxiety with my bullet journal. So another thing I like to do is just brain dump my anxieties. I mentioned earlier that if I have like a lot of things going on in the future, I like to plan it out in my bullet journal, which is great, but sometimes there's just thoughts in my head or like things that are swirling around that I really can't articulate very well, and I'm sure a lot of you can relate to me when I say this, but sometimes there are just random ideas and thoughts that are just swirling around and you just have to get them out and you don't know how. And this is where I think journaling or brain dumping is just super important. A lot of time in bullet journaling, people like to make aesthetic spreads and super pretty and stuff like that. For journaling and brain dumping, it's not supposed to be aesthetic and cute. It's just supposed to get what's in your brain onto paper, and literally that's it. So sometimes I just pull out my journal, open a blank spread, pull out a pen, and just like start writing and scribbling down my thoughts. It doesn't have to be coherent, it doesn't have to be good grammar or anything. It's just literally writing and just getting what's in your head onto paper, and that is such a good tool, I feel. And this isn't a super like crazy concept that no one has talked about. People have been recommending journaling for like years and years, but I think I support it. I think it's a great idea. It helps me sometimes just learning how to articulate my thoughts and realizing like what's the root cause of like the emotions that I'm feeling at this moment. It's so much easier to like write it out and see the progression of your thoughts and then read it back and be like, oh, this is why I'm feeling stressed about this. This is why I'm having a panic attack, because you're writing down your thoughts and then you can really go back and dissect them and figure out the root cause of some of the issues that you're having. Another thing in general, I think, is creativity can definitely reduce your stress. So for me, I have been a creative person since the moment I was born, and sometimes when I just want a break from everything, I'll come sit down at my desk and pull out a sketchbook and draw. It's a little different for me because I do create content. A lot of my bullet journal is, in fact, my entire bullet journal, not a lot, every part of my bullet journal is on the internet constantly, and I'm constantly filming my bullet journaling process. So I'm not gonna lie when I say I feel bad sometimes when I make a spread that I don't post, because I feel like it's just wasted opportunity for content that I could be posting. So while I think that's something I need to work on, definitely, most of the time whenever I escape my life or escape for stress reasons, I don't go to my bullet journal. I usually go to my sketchbook, and I'll just sit down for a couple hours and draw something that's not gonna be posted anywhere, except for, I don't know, maybe I'll send it to my friends or something if it's a cute drawing, but it's not gonna be posted. It's just an excuse for me to just sit down and let the creativity flow. This is also a scientifically proven fact that creativity can help lower anxiety and stress. So I'm gonna quote from a website right now, and I'll put it here on the screen. It says, "Artistic expression can help to give you a sense of control and purpose by allowing you to focus on the task placed in front of you. Creative ventures help to fight anxiety because they activate the parts of your brain that process emotions. Music and art, for example, help to calm brain activity and allow the individual to feel a sense of emotional harmony." So it's not just me that's telling you, it's science, but it is true that focusing on something else that'll like take you away from the stress and anxiety just for a little bit, not forever, but for a little bit, can be super helpful and beneficial. And it doesn't even have to be drawing. It can be, like they said, music, art, dance, whatever other creative ways that you want to express yourself. I know a lot of people on this channel that view me are artists like me, but it can be anything that you want. Yeah, this is something that really helps me sometimes. Next is gratitude, and this one is a little bit of a hard one because when I'm in a moment of like really intense stress and like I'm getting anxious and I'm hyperfixated on something and I just can't figure it out, one thing that I don't want to do is look at the positives in life. I want to bury myself into a hole, be super pessimistic, everything's wrong, everything's crashing on top of me, and I can't think of anything good. It's definitely something to work on, for sure. But I think it's very important sometimes to remember gratitude. And I think this doesn't even have to be like when you're in the midst of a panic attack. You have to be like, think of 3 things you're grateful for right now, because at least for me, that is not helpful. I'm going to be annoyed. I'm like, I don't want to think of something happy. I'm in a panic attack right now. I can't do this. But just as a general everyday activity, thinking of something that you're grateful for or things that you're grateful for can be super helpful in just keeping a positive outlook. And this can also help you manage stress. So one thing that helps me actively do this, and I haven't done it in a while, but that is putting a gratitude log in my bullet journal. Now that I'm saying this out loud, I probably should put more of these in my bullet journal more often. I usually just like forget. The point is having a spread already made out for you and designated just for positive gratitudes and thoughts. Like for example, just having one long spread with a list and every day is numbered, and every day you go in and write one thing that you're grateful for or one happy positive moment that happened that day. This is just 10 seconds every day. It's such a small thing, but it can remind you of all the good things that are in life. And obviously it's not going to miraculously take away your anxiety, your stress, your depression, or anything that's going on, but it is a gentle reminder every single day to find the good and the blessings in every day. And then the last thing I have here on my list is journaling and writing down prayers. So a lot of the time I turn to the Bible whenever I am stressed, and I should do this a little more often than I do, I'm not gonna lie, but obviously the Bible has so much richness and good news and prophecy from God that is just super helpful when you're in a time of intense anxiety and stress and overwhelm. But also I think it could be beneficial to write down your prayers as well. So obviously when you pray, it's mostly, for most people, the stereotype is to close your eyes and pray in your head, which is great, but sometimes for me, writing down my prayers, it's kind of mixing the journaling aspect of writing down my thoughts, but also talking to God at the exact same time. And it's just super helpful, again, articulating what's in my head and articulating it on paper. But also another thing is you can come back to those prayers that you prayed a couple months down the line and look at how God has answered your prayers. And that is, once again, a moment of gratitude, because you're like, I was so stressed and worried about this one particular thing and that part in my life, but now a couple months later, and I didn't even notice this, but I'm realizing how he silently answered my prayers, or he gave me that solution that I needed, or he took me out of a rough place in my life. And you can just see that transformation over the past couple months by just looking back at your old journal entries or your old prayer entries, and could be super beneficial. I have this journal here that I was sent by T. Fossey, and I have been using this mostly to document my dreams, which I can make a completely other video about, because I think dream journaling is it's entertaining for me. I like to do it. It has barely been touched, so I might as well fill up the pages with prayers and dreams. I think that's a good combination. So I might start doing it more consistently in here. You 100% don't need a fancy journal for this or anything specific. You don't have to go buy a journal for any of these things that I'm mentioning. Instead, if you have a bullet journal already that you already use, perfect way to keep using those spreads is to just brain dump and write in there. You can use something old, whatever it is. But overall, I think a big message of this video is just writing things on paper is super, super helpful, super beneficial, and figuring out what's stressing you, the root cause of it, getting to the bottom of it, and just overall processing your emotions a little better. And I know that can be super, super hard. Like I said, I have a lot of history with anxiety. I have a history with panic attacks. It is something that has affected me my entire life and will affect me for the rest of my life. And I'm sure so many of you can relate with that and other mental health issues. But I hope that this video has been helpful, has given you some tips, that I could be a little bit of inspiration in your day. And as always, let me know in the comments below, what your thoughts are, if you have any other tips. And I just love to chat with you guys. Like I said before, I really think therapy can also be a huge, huge impact on mental health if you're struggling. I definitely recommend using my code betterhelp.com/mangostudio. It'll be in the description box below for 10% off your first month with BetterHelp, just to try it, dip your feet in, see what you think. And I wish you guys all the love. I will see you guys next week with a little more lighthearted of a video. This video is a little serious, but I think it's important sometimes. But next week, I'm going to be talking about one of my favorite book series, a fantasy series, and you guys might want to stick around for that. So subscribe down below, and I will see you guys next week.